What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today I want to give you a 3-month review of my Native Titan 10.5. So I've been getting some questions down in the comments, people asking me what do I think about the 10.5 and how do I feel about it at this point. And I have done a lot of fishing out of this thing in the past 3 months, and I really feel like I can give you guys a good opinion on the kayak and let you know what I like and what I dislike about it at this point. So I want to start this video by saying all this is really opinion based, and what works for me in my fishing might not work for you in your fishing, and vice versa. So just remember that my style of fishing is going to be different than yours, and vice versa, guys. So let's start with the pros. Obviously, the main pro with the Native Titan is stability. This boat is insanely stable. I'm 5'11" and 200 pounds, and I can stand up and fish out of this thing all day long. I mean, I've been hit by boat wakes, I've been in waves, I've been in wind, and falling out or flipping this kayak has never been a concern. It's just insanely stable. And then the second pro is going to be the propel drive. It's a pretty smooth drive, but I mean, it's bulletproof, guys. I mean the propel drive will stand the test of time, in my opinion. As long as you take care of it and maintenance it regularly, you're not going to have any issues out of that drive. And you know, if you keep the kayak pretty light and you don't load it down, I can get about 3.5 miles an hour out of it at a very leisure pace. That's easy to sustain over a long distance. I mean, yeah, you can push it, you know, 4 miles an hour, 4.1, 4.2, but you're not going to be able to sustain that for very long periods of time. Now, on the other side of that, if you carry a lot of tackle with you and you really weigh this thing down, then it's going to become a little bit more cumbersome to pedal the kayak. And honestly, for me, that's about as far as the pros go. The number one con to the 10.5 is the tracking. The tracking is terrible on this boat. You cannot take your hand off of that rudder. You're constantly having to adjust it, constantly having to keep yourself straight. And yes, that can be remedied to an extent by upgrading the rudder and upgrading the steering components, but that's not a cheap thing to do on these boats. I mean, and you're already spending a lot of money on them, so that's something I haven't done yet to this one, and I probably won't do to this kayak. And that's a huge con for me. And then, you know, I added the NK 180 to the boat, which that's a great motor. It's great for getting you from point A to point B. And for a shallow water fisherman, I mean, this would probably be the ideal setup, the NK 180, and keeping the pedal drive in this thing, because you're going to be able to get to your spot quick. You're not going to have a lot of current to deal with, most likely, and most of the time you're going to be able to get out of the wind in your sloughs or your pockets or wherever you're fishing. And it's easier to anchor down when you're in shallow water. You can drop a power pole or drop a parking pole, yak attack parking pole, and just sit there and pick your spot apart. But for me, I like trying to fish more offshore stuff, and if you've got any current or any wind at all in this kayak with this setup, it's almost impossible. You can't hold your position, and you can't maneuver it enough to really combat the wind or the current. I mean, you just can't. Now, granted, you could get an anchor trolley and drop an anchor, but that's just not the type of fishing I do. I like trolling, I like moving, and that's where my problems with this kayak come in. I've considered highly putting a bow mount on this thing, but I really, with as stubby as the nose on with as stubby as this kayak is in the front, I was really trying to keep a lot of the weight off of the front of the kayak. I already carry a pretty good bit of gear up there. I keep all my soft plastics and tools and stuff in the front hatch of this kayak, so I mean, it's already got a good bit of weight on it. And you know, if I added the bow mount, that's just that much more weight on the front of this kayak. So that's why I went with the stern mount. And my other thing is, if you go with an XI3 or something that's got GPS spot lock and GPS track, then the pedal drive is just in the way. Like, you're not going to be using the pedals, in my opinion. So that's where you kind of have to decide for yourself, what type of fisherman are you, what type of fishing are you going to do. Because at this point, I'm trying to make a switch out of this kayak. And it's not because it's a bad kayak, it's just because my needs have changed since I got this kayak. And I'm making a switch, and I'm going to be running a different kayak without pedals and a bow mount XI3. Because to me, like I said, if you're running that bow mount with GPS track, GPS spot lock and all that, you're not going to need the pedals. And if I'm not going to be using the pedals, then I want that space. I don't want just the console in my way. So, and you're going to be able to get that non-pedal drive kayak a heck of a lot cheaper than you're going to be able to get into this kayak, or a pedal drive kayak, you know, of any sort. So that's something you guys really need to take into account if you're looking at getting a new kayak or getting into it and wanting to get a nice kayak for your first one. You know, really ask yourself, what kind of fishing do I do? Am I fishing mostly shallow water where I can get out of the wind, I can get out of the current, you know, I can anchor down in 5-6 foot of water? Or am I going to be more offshore, you know, top fishing? If you're going to be more of an offshore type of fisherman, then I absolutely think it's necessary to do a bow mount and an XI3 setup. And if you're going to be going that setup, then I don't see where the pedal drive is necessary. Unless you're wanting to fish a Hobie event or something, you know, then, you know, where you can't run a motor. If you're fishing an event where you can't run a motor, then absolutely go with a pedal drive. But for me personally, I'm going to be making a switch out of this kayak. And my main reason is just the ease of fishing. I mean, wanting to be hands-free on the water, wanting to be able to spot lock on something offshore and really pick it apart, or just be able on GPS track. And yes, you could put that setup on this boat, but again, you're still going to have this pedal drive in your way. And for me, I'm just going to switch out of this kayak into a non-pedal drive kayak and set it up just the way I want it. So that's something that's in the works, guys. I'm trying to put something together on that, so keep your eye out. We should be getting a new kayak on the channel here pretty soon, if everything goes to plan. And that should be pretty cool, rigging the thing out and comparing the two side by side. And I think you guys will be really interested to see what the new kayak is going to be. But again, guys, like I said, it's all very opinion based. You know, take it for what it is. That's my thoughts on the kayak. It's a great kayak. It definitely has some issues, and you know, with the bow mount trolling motor with GPS on it being an option, unless you're fishing a kayak tournament or a lake that won't allow motors, you know, there's no sense in having a pedal drive. So there's where I would save my money on the kayak itself and put it into the motor and the battery. So, but as always, guys, I appreciate you watching, and I hope somebody can get something out of this video. I know I'm terrible at explaining things, but I do my best for you guys. And don't forget, guys, May 15th, we're drawing a winner for the Tackle Warehouse gift card giveaway. So I'm going to put the link back in the description again. Go down to the Facebook link in the description Drop a like and a comment on the 200 subscriber giveaway post, and make sure you're subscribed to my channel and you live in the USA, and you're entered to win. And like I said, we'll be drawing on May 15th for the winner, so keep your eye out for that. And as always, guys, catch you on the next one.